And greetings, friend, and welcome to the Trenton 365 show. A big shout out to WING 1300 and WPHY for having the program. WING in particular because they're the first station to have the Trenton 365 show. So we've got a special kind of support for them. Hope that everyone is doing well during these times of COVID. Please remain to be safe. And please listen to the professionals, the doctors who are out there, the government, etc. Let's not fall into the space of listening to our friends who don't have any scientific background or understanding about health. Listen to what the professionals are doing. For those of you who are having concerns about getting the vaccination, I understand that, but just again, let's think about this from a larger picture and give that some consideration and some thought. There's lots of different organizations that you can reach out to on the local level, on the county level, and the state level as far as getting information and getting on the list for the vaccination. You may have to travel a little bit. I've heard that some folks are having to go as far as Atlantic City from Mercer County, but here, if those folks want the vaccine, that may be what they have to do until that time is available. We're going to change that conversation. We'll revisit it later on, but right now I want to talk to Alex Treece. He is calling to us from the Trenton Kiwanis Club. And many years ago, I was invited to the Kiwanis Club and spent some time as a member there. I'm a big supporter of the organization. It's also one of those organizations that's been around for so long, but I think that there's generations that don't know what the Kiwanis means, don't know what the club is, don't know how inclusive or non-inclusive they are. But I can tell you that they are inclusive, at least the one that's in the Trenton area. And Alice is going to talk to you a little bit about that. And I'm going to encourage you all to go out and reach out to the Trenton Kiwanis Club later on and just get some information for yourself and learn for yourself. Meet some of the wonderful people who are over there at that organization and the monthly meetings that take place on a regular basis as well. But Alex Treece is going to be coming on today to talk about something else that the Kiwanis Club is doing and has been doing for a very, very long time. The organization has always been supportive of youth, has always been supportive of folks in law enforcement, etc. So without any further ado, let's welcome to the Trenton 365 show, Alex Treece. Alex, how are you, sir?
I'm great, Jacque. Thank you for having us on, and hopefully you're well. And I would like to echo your encouragement to the community to follow the signs, to get vaccinated, and be able to move on with life. Like to talk a little bit about, before I get into our marquee project, which is the Times Kiwanis Camp Fund, which I think is the main reason you invited us on. I'm getting a signal here on my computer. I'm sorry about that.
That's
But
okay.
in any case, the Trenton Kiwanis was founded in 1918, and its founding members in early years were all the names that the streets and parks are named for in Trenton. It used to be, and we'd still like to believe to some degree, it's staffed by the movers and shakers of Trenton, vis-a-vis why you were invited to be a member years ago. The Kiwanis itself was organized and formed in 1915 in Detroit, and it was formed initially as a businessman's club, and then it began to see a new and revised its mission to serving the children of the world, which is our motto. Currently, we're in 80 nations across the world, have over 500,000 members, including the various youth groups. The name Kiwanis itself has a Native American origin that loosely translated means to be known, to make noise. And as an activist, Jacque, you can appreciate you need to make noise sometimes. And so that's the origins of our parent group. And again, we here in Trenton, 1918, 103 years this May. Real quick, our contact information, Facebook is Kiwanis Club of New Jersey. There is another Kiwanis Club in Trenton somewhere else. Or our website is Kiwanis of Trenton, New Jersey, just NJ, Kiwanis of Trenton, NJ.org. So as you wanted me to speak on, our main marquee project is the Times Kiwanis Camp Fund. And we partnered in 1955 with the Times newspaper to raise funds to help send inner city or indigent youth to summer camp, to get them out of the city, to have a camp experience. That mission has been expanded a little bit to be more inclusive, to focus also on special needs children, and is basically we support organizations in the greater Mercer County area. Over the years, we've collected and distributed over $2 million to eligible nonprofits to support their efforts of sending kids to summer camp. Um, our, I'm getting a little backfeed. I'm not sure if you hear it, Jacque,
But
but
you
I'm
are
sorry.
fine. You are fine over there, Alex. We can hear you fine. You think that there's something that you
Okay.
need to do on your side to correct it, because you sound fine.
No, okay, but I'm getting some conversation from somewhere else. I'm sorry.
Okay, but
But in any
you are
case,
fine.
okay, I'm sorry. In any case, the camp fund launches every Memorial Day and runs to Labor Day. And again, to support that, there's promotions and information weekly in the Times newspaper. But as importantly, you can go directly to our web or Facebook sites. As I previously announced, Kiwanis Club of Trenton, New Jersey for Facebook, and Kiwanis of TrentonNJ.org for the website. While that's our major marquee event every year, as newspapers have diminished in importance, our challenges have increased in terms of fundraising. I would encourage here that the business community of Trenton step up a little more than they have. Some major players in the local market, and I'd like to do a big shout out to New Jersey Manufacturing, who's been a major supporter of ours. But some of the smaller businesses have been absent, and I'd like to challenge them to get on board, because again, our ability to support these organizations, and there's 10 of them traditionally that we support every year, which includes the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, etc. Organizations that you all know and recognize, and it's not a question of the legitimacy and the value that is received by supporting those organizations. But just again, like to challenge the business community. Just a kind of an idea of what we do as members. Again, as Jacque said, we meet periodically in non-pandemic times. We would meet on the first, third, and fifth Wednesdays of every month, when there is a fifth Wednesday, at Leonardo's 2 restaurant on Route 1 in Lawrenceville. Very nice restaurant, good value, great food. And we meet at 12:15 on those dates. For the last year, we've kept it together via Zoom meetings. And for those, again, with Zoom bombing being what it is, we send out these Zoom invitations to a controlled membership. But for those that are interested in information, they can call me directly. And my cell number is 609-647-8305. And for those interested to sit in on a Zoom, I'll send you the link. We're starting to try to get back together in person, albeit outside, socially distant. The Boys and Girls Club, Center Street in Trenton, in their outside pavilion, is hosting our next meeting on Cinco de Mayo Day, May 5th. And again, anyone interested in attending, they can contact me to learn a little bit more about what we do.
Alex, I want to jump in there
Sure.
and say thank you for laying all that information out. And one of the things that I've always appreciated about you and our friendship is that you were always that person in the room who is candid, but also stern. And I know a lot of folks would say no bullshit. And I'm going to say it like that because that's how you are. Like, you're very much, hey, look, we're going to stick to this. We're going to do it. We're going to do it this way. We're going to do it properly and in order. And we'll go from there. And I've always appreciated that, because I think that when people of color get an opportunity to see another person of color in a position of respect and authority, I don't know if many people of color really recognize the work that has gone into it for you to get to the position to be able to lead the Trenton Kiwanis Club, to do all the other things that you do. So kudos to you, blessings to all the work that you have been doing. And I appreciate, what you're doing for speaking up, holding people accountable, and doing the work that oftentimes, is goes by the wayside. I also
Can I
appreciate.
interrupt you for a second, Jacque?
Sure, sir.
While I thank you for the compliments, I'm going to throw back a challenge to the community since you brought up color. This is a group that's prime mission is serving the Trenton area youth needs. We need more minority, more diversity, more women participants in our organization. So please join in.
There you go, folks. Just like that. That simple. Look, this is what we're doing, and this is what we need. Get yourself situated, come to the meeting, and see what's going on with the Trenton Kiwanis. And again, thank you for all the clear conversations that you have had with me, and telling me how you feel, and how you think, etc. It's been a real help to me. You had mentioned the business community. And I know NJM, Bernie over there is trying to do lots of different things. Well, he's not there anymore, but the connections he has at NJM, and then also at Mercer Street Friends, etc. When you mention out to the business community some of the things that you would like to see them do, I'm sure some of them are probably thinking, well, things are tight. I can't really, do this, or I don't have enough staff. Can you give them some examples of some things that they can do that could be a really big help to the Trenton or the area youth, as well as the Kiwanis Club?
Well, first and foremost, perhaps support us financially. But larger than that, there's apprenticeships, there's ways to involve the youth community, there's mentorships. They have the opportunity to make a difference. They have an opportunity to make a difference. When I had my business for 20 years in Trenton, I made it a point every year to have, during the summer, I'll call it a intern, but it was an intern in 1985 to $95. I paid $15 an hour for them just to be a gopher or whatever, learn business, have someone that they could see as a Black male in a leadership role. And I understood also that money helped that family tremendously. That $15 an hour in many cases was more than their father or mother was making. So it doesn't cost much. I was a small business, and these major players in Trenton, it doesn't take much, and it comes back in multiples. So they can get involved. They can support. Mike McCormick, one of our members, and you know him, he's leading what's called Vision Trenton. And it's a project to parlay on, make known, and promote Trenton nationwide, worldwide. His an analogy to one of the things that he uses in terms of where it could go. St. Louis with their arch is now a worldwide iconic point to visit and look at. And that was developed in part to revitalize that area of St. Louis and beyond. And we just had a project this Saturday at the Locust Hill Cemetery, which I'm sure you're familiar with, which is a cemetery long abandoned and forgotten of Black Civil War and veterans. And we had a cleanup project there, but Algernon Ward, which I know and you probably have had on your show, he's trying to make that into a museum, park, area to honor those Black soldiers interned there and forgotten. Well, that's kind of parlays into what we're trying to do with the Kiwanis and Mike McCormick, to have some iconic marquee points to visit in Trenton that can parlay on the history that's here and forgotten.
Mhm. Well, I want you to make sure that you have Mike reach out to me, because I would love to be a part of that group. And I'm glad that you mentioned Algernon Ward as well. Big shout out to Algie. There are so many people in this region, in this area, who are deeply entrenched into the work that's happening here. And I think oftentimes those of us who are doing it with each other, we know it. But I think on the outside, people don't know it. And I think that it's high time that we start holding more people accountable for the fortunes that they have had off of Trenton and off of the urban environments to get more involved in that. So it's good to hear that NJM is doing things, that Bernie is still involved, with Mercer Street Friends, etc., and also with Mike McCormick and Vision Trenton. I love that concept, and I would love to chat with him a little bit more, have him on the show to explain it, and maybe get some more interest and more people involved in that. Alex, we've talked, whether, in meetings or sidebar conversations about the state of things and why they're this way. And I know that we're focusing on Kiwanis, but there's a clear connection between the work that Kiwanis is doing and nationally and internationally with what's happening socially and reaching out to people who maybe feel disheartened or feel they're just not engaged people. And I know being a Kiwanian means that you are civically engaged. So can you just drill down on that a bit more?
Well, exactly. And again, our mission is serving the children of the world. So we're involved in youth groups. We sponsor. There's several levels of youth groups, but which are like youth versions of the Kiwanis. We support a youth group called the Builders Club at a middle school in Hopewell. We support two key clubs, which are the high school version of Kiwanis, which one is the Foundation Academy in Trenton, and the other one is the Lawrence School. And then we support the college level, which is called Circle K at Rider University. And again, on the subject that you're talking about, you start young with developing a social conscious, a civic responsibility. And many of these kids, and even this Saturday at Locust Hill, many of them were there helping to clean up. And at the same time, seeing the environment around. You've been on Hart Street, I'm sure, where the cemetery is. And for some of the kids, frankly, from, let's say, a Hopewell, that's an eye opener, you know. And too many of our people. I lived in the Detroit area when I was at corporate with Ford back in the 80s. In Detroit was then, at least, what Trenton, I believe, is now, a city where a lot of white workers come in from the suburbs and then they leave. And they don't get to know the city. They don't really get to support the city. We need to have an awareness on the majority population that they have a responsibility, and we try to have those conversations that sometimes are difficult.
Well, thank you too for saying that, because I think that's what we have to do as human beings. I think a lot of times we get into these positions and places where we think that we've got it all figured out. We don't have to do anymore. We don't have to progress anymore. But like you said, the Kiwanis Club is from the 1918s. And if they were doing the same type of work they were doing in 1918, they wouldn't be here now. They wouldn't be irrelevant. They've evolved. They've gotten better. They've listened. They've learned. They've had challenges. They've had mistakes. It's the same thing with all human beings, and in particular, the people of faith. I think that a lot of times um, we get to this space where we think that we're good, we're done. And that's nowhere can I find that in history or in scripture at all where it says we're done. No, we keep going. We don't make that decision. And because we're supposed to keep going, I believe that we're supposed to evolve and get better and build upon our successes and the successes of others. And I think that in particular here in Trenton, where I live, I think that there's a lot of thinking that is archaic with a lack of a reason to think ingeniously or progressively. I mean, look, our population is not homogeneously white anymore. In fact, if we really did the statistics, Trenton is probably Latino Hispanic with a close, second of Black. But are we having those conversations? Are we inviting those leaders from the different Spanish and African communities who are here to teach them about what it means to be a citizen, in Trenton, a citizen in America. And I know they've done the same things in their countries. They're just human beings. So why can't we interject some of these other wonderful things that are taking places around the world and become that society that we want? And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let you get back to talking, because I'd like to say my folks want to hear you, not me. But I've got a really good friend, Leo Bridgewater, and he, like myself, is an advocate for cannabis. He's also a retired military veteran, et cetera. He's a national figure in the cannabis space and one of the top Black speakers in cannabis nationally. He has this saying: we have two theories of thought. We have Flintstones and we have Jetsons.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly where we are right now. We have people who still want to drive rock cars and stop cars with our feet. And then we got other people who are thinking about how do we use the technology and have flying cars. And I think that that is really a simple example that more of us in this area need to think about, especially those who are my age and older. That 50 Cent, look, we may be at the peak or close to it, but you know what's on the other side?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we got less time ahead of us than we do behind us. So it behooves us to start saying, "Hey, what about all those cool things we wanted to do that we didn't do?" And I'm supportive of you. I'm supportive of the Kiwanis Club, because in your way, you're pushing that envelope in your own setting. So thank you so much. And I'd like for you to jump in and take the last 5 minutes or so before we finish up.
Well, I wanted to comment before I go back into Kiwana sort of subjects to talk about cannabis. And again, I'm speaking personally here. So many of our Black and Latino youth have had their life's trajectory interrupted for a petty marijuana charge. Some have died because they've been stopped and they had a little nickel bag on them or whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy. And without sounding racist myself, I find it amazing that once the opioid epidemic hit suburbia, it was quickly seen as a health issue. And when other drugs were in the inner city, it was some sort of moral deficiency. We need to be real about some of these issues. We need to be real. I just wanted to recap. Well, there's one main thing I wanted to say before we ended here. We have currently a fundraiser going to support the camp fund. And that's what we're calling Cooking for Campers. And we have a chef from Leonardo's 2 who on Tuesday, April the 27th at 6:30 is going to prepare a meal, and for $25 via Zoom. You can follow along. You'll be given a head of schedule of the ingredients so you can cook along, and the proceeds will go again to help fund the Times Kiwana Camp Fund. Enrollment can be found on our Facebook and website that I've given you previously. Please, 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 please support us.
Alex Treece, man, I love you, bro. Thank you for everything that you've done and that you are doing. And I hope that after everything kind of calms down a little bit, we can spend time together in person and you can, you know, continue to enlighten me and give me guidance. Okay.
Well, we're going to have to cross invite you to one of our Zoom meetings to speak on all the things that you're doing. I see you everywhere on Facebook on some of the things that you're up to. And you can, and that's why I said earlier, and I know you got to wrap it up. This is a Black community or a brown community, at least in Trenton. We need more representation on our in our club of the community that we serve. You're closer to the street, to the ground, to the people than we are. And so we can better learn how we can serve when we have people inside the circle.
My man, Alex Treece, I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. We'll be in touch and I'll get you all the content over soon. Alex Treece, representative of the Trenton Kiwanis Club. For those of you who don't know, like I did many years ago, what the Kiwanis Club was, what the Circle K and the Key Club, what they all are. I've learned from the guidance of men like Alex Treece and others in the organization. It's definitely an organization that I encourage you, if you are interested in civics, any way, shape, or form, whatever your business practice, education level, et cetera. If you're interested in civics, please check out the Kiwanis Club. I'll have all the links and things up. And if you want to coordinate something where I can do a soft introduction or a hard introduction, don't worry about that as well. As always, folks, it's about justice, peace, and humility. I'm Jacque Howard, founder and creator of the Trenton 365 show. And please, please listen to the professionals.